The two candidates for the 154th House District in Missouri debated Thursday night in the first and only debate of the election season. Incumbent Republican Shawn Rhodes and independent candidate Terry Hampton, both of West Plains, talked about several issues, including Medicaid expansion, transportation funding, school control, judicial reform, law enforcement, and campaign finance reform. Hampton says she decided to run because of her frustration with the system, saying that she doesn't believe either party truly represents the people.
If I specifically differ, it's because there are elements of both platforms that I agree with and elements that I don't necessarily agree with. And I think that's what led me to be an independent to start with. I just was very frustrated with the system, realizing that there were a few key things on both ends that are really the sticking points, you know? The big part in the middle, we all agree on. Those things that I talked about, you know, we want to get along, we want to compromise, we want progress in our state. And so, you know, the theme of my campaign has been back to basics. And really, that's my platform. My platform is to represent you, is to represent District 154 and to concentrate on things like jobs and economic development.
Representative Rhodes says if reelected, he'll continue to work on economic development for West Plains and Willow Springs.
Down jobs is our biggest concern. I think right with what's happened in the last year and a half, it has jobs. That's what we need, and I think we're taking steps forward to help with jobs. One of those being the GoCap facility, one of those being the city with high-speed internet. My job working with economic development up there, I spent a lot of time, I've learned a lot about economic development in the last 4 years, is the fact that, when companies come to town, they look for certain things, and there are certain things they look into. If you have high-speed internet, then they're okay coming to town. We don't have that here. We don't have good, reliable high-speed internet, and that's been identified. So the city's taking steps to do that. One of the internet providers here in town really had a bill up there that would not let the city of West Plains even try to have internet. It would take 7 or 8 votes of the people at $7,000 a vote. It'd be hard to do, and that's across state Missouri. We worked really hard to kind of kill that, and we did.
Another topic discussed was Medicaid expansion. Hampton is in favor of Medicaid expansion in Missouri, adding that she doesn't believe health care should be tied to jobs.
Is strengthening our medical community and our healthcare system. You know, we as a country need to work towards taking the burden of providing coverage away from employers. Healthcare coverage should not be tied to jobs, and truly affordable care, not just insurance, should be available to all. So this should be really a completely nonpartisan issue. A single payer system of some kind, whether it's a variation of Medicare for all. If you think about it, one of the Republican lines is that there are too many regulations on business, and I tell you that is the biggest regulatory burden that employers have, is when they have to provide health insurance. It's truly a job killer. So the federal government is going to have to move in that direction, and in the meantime, we have to work with what we've got. We have to work with what we've been given, and that is that we need to take the $2 billion a year that the federal government would be willing to give back to us. It's our taxpayer money that has been sent to Washington, and they want to give it back to us. And it would be for covering working families and individuals who make too much to be covered by the current Medicaid system, but they don't make enough to qualify for subsidies through the exchange.
Rhodes, however, says he doesn't believe Missouri can afford Medicaid expansion, citing several issues. He says, however, the legislature may look at some coverage changes.
That's got to come from somewhere. It's got to come from schools. It's got to come from somewhere. The second thing is that's not a short-term one-year thing. That's down the road. It's got to keep coming up to 85, 75 down the road. The second thing is we have a stop in the Senate. The Senate's got 5 senators that say, no, if it comes over here, we're not doing it. We're not going to have it. We're going to filibuster it. The third thing is, oftentimes I speak to Tom Keller at the hospital, the CEO. I said, Tom, what are we going to do if we expand Medicaid? How are we going to handle this? I said, how many jobs are you going to add? I'm adding 0 jobs. We're not going to add a single job. We're just going to maintain them. I said, okay, that's fine. Right now I see where probably this year we may look into the single parent type atmosphere and say, look, okay, the single parent has a job, that maybe we may cover them.
We have video of the full debate online at ozarkradionews.com.